Welcome to this segment of Let's Talk Everything Hair. My name is Heather Lee, and I'm the Director of Marketing, Communications, and Operations at Hair Club. Joining me today is Dr. Phipps, who specializes in medical and surgical hair loss solutions. Welcome, Dr. Phipps.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so privileged to be the medical advisor for Hair Club, and let's talk hair.
So, first and foremost, how did you decide to focus, your medical expertise in the direction of hair loss?
So nobody goes to medical school thinking, I want to be a medical and hair restoration physician. It's a very neat little niche that you don't even really know about or hear about in medical school. So my path in my medical training was a different surgical path, and it just really wasn't for me. It wasn't my calling or what I really wanted to do. So I kind of switched gears, and in that path of medical training, I came across a physician who did medical and surgical hair restoration. And it really spoke to me because my dad suffered from hair loss at a very, very early age. And I saw how this physician was treating patients with hair loss and who were bald and were helping them and changing their lives. So I went home and I told my dad, hey, there's this doctor who does this hair restoration procedure and can give people back their hair. And he said, now Angela Lynn, and I knew he meant business because he called me by my first and my middle name.
Right.
He said, I put you through medical school, you better figure out a way to put hair on my head.
I love it.
So I was very intrigued, and so I started down the path of figuring out a way to be able to do for my dad what this physician was doing. And so with his help, I performed my very first hair restoration procedure on my dad, and subsequently did 2 procedures for him. And after his second procedure, he looks in the mirror and he says, I like my reflection for the first time in 30 years. Well, I'm a daddy's girl, and my heart just melted.
Wow, that's absolutely beautiful. So how many years have you, been focused on hair loss solutions?
About 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And then what solution did your father receive?
So my father received the solution of, we did medical therapy, which included a topical form of medicine, as well as an oral form of medicine, and he received a surgical hair restoration procedure. The great thing about being the medical advisor for Hair Club is that we offer all of the solutions for hair loss, whether it's medical, whether it's surgical, whether it's different things. And so we're going to talk about those different things today.
One of the things that I love about Hair Club that I think many don't know is that we have solutions for all.
Yes.
And whether there's a need to regrow your hair, replace your hair, or restore your hair, we definitely have a solutions to address all the various needs. Would you mind speaking to those?
Yeah, so the great thing about Hair Club is their regrowth program, and that includes the EXT system. And so what that includes is a specially formulated shampoo that has vitamins and botanicals that help promote an environment for healthy hair growth. There is a enzymatic scalp cleanser that helps to remove the scalp of excess oil, dead skin cells, and product buildup. And then there's a moisturizing conditioner that has good proteins in it that is good for holding water into the hair for moisture, as well as giving it volume to increase the volume of your hair. There is supplements, oral supplements that include vitamin herbs that help to promote healthy hair growth. And then there is a rejuvenator, which includes a FDA-approved topical medication that is used to help to slow the hair loss process and encourage new hair growth. So another great hair loss solution at Hair Club is the replacement options. And so one of the options is a system called X-Strands. And X-Strands are individual hairs or in tiny groupings that are bonded to your natural hair at the root, and they add instantaneous volume, and they stay in your hair and they just grow out with your natural hair growth cycle. So they stay in for 2 to 3 months, and you can customize it to the type and color of your hair and the number of X-Strands that you want to have placed. Do you want to use a little just to add some volume, in a particular area, or do you want to use them all over and get va-va-voom like I do? You can get that at Hair Club if you choose.
Right.
Another replacement option is extensions, and Hair Club uses a wonderful product of tape extensions. And the great thing about getting your extensions at Hair Club is we're so health hair conscious. So we make sure that we're applying these extensions without any traction or weight or damage to your existing hair.
Okay.
And then another alternative is an amazingly customizable option called Xtrans Plus. This solution takes into account your skin color, your skin type, your hair color, your hair texture, your hair curl, your hair pattern, different lengths. A medical grade adhesive is used to adhere it to the scalp, and it gives you an incredibly full head of hair for the ultimate hair replacement solution. Mm-hmm. And so we have the ability to do surgical hair restoration if that is the treatment solution that is right for you. There are two different types of surgical techniques that we use for the restoration process. One is called the FUT, and that's the traditional technique where we remove all of the hairs together and then individually remove the hair follicles one by one out of that complete section. And then we're doing another procedure called the FUE. And it used to be termed follicular unit extraction, and we have since kind of changed the terminology to follicular unit excision. And the reason that we have done that is because with extraction, it gives the implication that you can just pluck the hair follicle out, which will not need a licensed physician or physician's assistant to be able to perform that procedure. So lots of untrained people are doing this procedure that shouldn't be because it's called an extraction. So we in the community wanted to change it to excision so that only licensed physicians and physician's assistants can excise that hair follicle out of the back of the scalp.
So I heard you got the name FUE Whisperer. How did you get that nickname?
Yeah, so I got that nickname because of my success in performing the follicular unit excision procedure. High rate of success, because the procedure in and of itself is difficult to do. Okay. Because we can only see the hair that exits the scalp, and we can see the skin. We can't see the root below. There's no special glasses that we can wear that allows us to see where the root is, and that's the part that we need to excise in order for the hair follicle to remain alive so that we can restore it. And so you have to leave the hair a particular length so that you can see how the hair exits the scalp to try and find where the root is. Now, a lot of other practices will completely shave the head down to the skin. And when you do that, you don't leave enough link to the hair shaft to see that natural directional curve of the hair, and it just looks like a little dot. And so you don't necessarily know where the root is. You want to assume that it's going to be in a vertical alignment so that when you press down on that, the root is right underneath of it. But problem number one is your scalp's round. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes there can be a bend or a curve to that hair follicle, and you can't see it if you can't see the natural trajectory of the hair follicle. So I take very specific and precautions to make sure that I have the hair at a very particular length so that I can still see that natural hair curl or trajectory as it exits the scalp. And then for some reason, I just feel like I'm gifted with the ability to, once I see that, I kind of almost know where the root is, and have been able to very successfully be a physician that can achieve high number of graft yields with that procedure because of how successful I am in finding out where the roots are to get out viable follicles.
Awesome. And one thing to note, it's not all your clients. African American males are calling you FUE Whisperer because of the type, because of the curls.
Exactly.
Right?
So it's difficult to do in and of itself, even with the straight hair. Right. Caucasian, Asian, Indian, but with the African American hair texture, there's a natural curl to it, which mm-hmm. makes it even more difficult because sometimes the root can be to the right or left of where the hair is exiting the scalp. And so again, you need to leave some of that natural curl in there, and then in my mind, I can just visionarily see where that curve is going, and am able to, thankfully, yield a high number of grafts in the African American male population, upwards of 1,800, sometimes 2,000 grafts in one procedure, whereas the typical maybe graft range in an African American male could be as low as 800, 1,000, 1,200. So because I'm getting a lot higher graft yield with my African American men patients, they've kind of coined me the FUE Whisperer because I seem to find them.
I love it. I love it. That's such a cute name. Now, do you ever find that people are shocked when they come into, your consultation room or the operating room and they find that you're Caucasian female specializing in all hair types, including African American hair?
Yes, and I'll tell you an experience about this. So I provided a traction alopecia hair restoration procedure on an African American female, and she got great results, and so she wanted to go back and tell her community of friends that were experiencing this who to go to as well. And so one of her friends came to see me, and we had our consultation, and then a couple of days later, the original client patient called me and said she wanted to tell me that her friend came home from her consultation, and she said she wanted to know why in the world that she sent her up there to a Caucasian female with big blonde hair, and what in the world could I possibly know about ethnic hair and hair loss and treatment solutions. And I want to speak to that because African American males and females are my community. There's a large patient population, client population in the Raleigh area where I practice, and so I serve everyone, no matter what your ethnicity is. And everyone has different textures and types of hair. And so it's my job as the physician to be the expert in all types of those hairs. And so I have really taken a special interest in the African American male and female community because other than male and female pattern hair loss, traction alopecia is the second most common surgical procedure I do. And so because there is such a large population of women, African American women, who have this issue, I want to be the expert that they come to get the appropriate solution, because I know I'm going to give them the best solution versus going somewhere else. And you might be able to find an African American physician, but they may not specialize completely in hair. And so I want to take away the myth or the stereotype that Caucasian physicians can't take care of African American hair, because I have made it a mission of mine to make sure that I call the African American community my community, and I treat them with as much intention and expertise as I don't do any of the other ethnicities in my community.
And I love that you said that, because that's truly who we are as a brand, as a company with Hair Club. Hair Club for everyone, not just for men, but for everyone. And we make sure that across our 120 locations nationwide, that we have the stylists and the consultations and the team to support and address all the different solutions and needs.
For men, for women, but also even for children.
Absolutely.
So Hair Club, you really can go and get any and all treatment solution that would be the best for you.
Right. So true. So true. Well, Dr. Phipps, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure to be here, and I would love to do it again anytime.
Good stuff. I certainly learned a lot about hair extensions and styling, and hopefully our viewers did too. I think they did. A wealth of information. So thank you for joining in on this segment of Let's Talk Everything Hair. And until next time, give us a call, schedule your in-center or virtual consultation, and love your hair, live your life.